All right, well, that was our farewell to Zach.
I was kind of getting excited when he mentioned that he had the drawings because I was curious if he was able to see what all stuff design had done, but didn't think to ask it before we ran off.
Mm-hmm. How about we discuss what's the best type of wheel to use on a robot?
Ooh. Well, the dream wheel chassis setup that every designer and builder and programmer have dreamt of is swerve drive.
The swerve drive.
Basically, you've got a wheel and it doesn't have rollers on it or anything. It's just a normal wheel. And then you have a separate motor that's able to spin what direction that wheel is pointing. So whatever direction you want to go, you just point the wheel and then it can spin.
Sounds terrible on the programmer's end.
It can be kind of difficult to design because you have to fit two motors and a bunch of gears all in a really tight area. I believe me and Joseph figured out how the code would work for this because Blake was talking about doing it over the summer. We haven't tested it because we've never actually had a robot that can do swerve drive. In comparison, Mechanism Drive and Omni wheels, all of the wheels push the robot at a 45-degree angle. So you actually only get about half your motor output because quite a bit of the force is just countering each other.
So you said you kind of put Omni wheel and Mechanism in like the same kind of bag, but Mechanism is better though, right? It's more expensive because it's like more complexly built, and that's reflected through like its functionality. But
they both function about the same. Like it's the same concept that if you have a wheel with rollers at an angle so that you can move the robot at a 45-degree, but you won't get resistance if you move in a different direction. But yeah, the Mechanism wheels are more complicated because they're at that funny angle. They do come with the added benefit of the wheels can still, not wheels, the motors can still face the same direction because they can just be flat on the chassis. On Omni Drive, you're going to have them at a funky angle in order to get the wheels pointed the right direction. And this is my programming understanding of it. As far as the more technical, how you put it together, you'd need a build person to explain that. So Mechanism and Omni wheels, they basically give you the same functionality. You've got a wheel that will, when it spins, it pushes your robot at a 45-degree angle. And then when you've got multiple of these wheels set up pointing in different directions, you're able to, depending on how fast you have each motor spin, move the robot in different angles. Going back to the beautiful dream of swerve drive, since you don't have to worry about these forces countering each other, you can just rotate the wheel where you want to go and then move all that direction. So that is always omnidirectional. You don't have to worry about writing any code to calculate how much motor power. And then once you have your robot able to move omnidirectionally, the next thing that I've always gone to is figuring out how to augment the driving. That way, wherever the driver thinks is forward is where the robot will drive when you tell it to go forward. So if your robot is off, it's like facing at a 30-degree angle, and you tell it to go forward, it will still go what it originally thought forward was, because you've got a gyro value that you can use for that. I don't know how well I explained that, but...
Anything you want to talk about?
I mean, we were able to check out phones and whatnot over this past week. So now me and Joseph can actually start programming from home and start testing the things. Unfortunately, though, we both managed to get defective parts.
Oh, great.
I think Joseph got Joseph got a battery, but the little relay that's connected to it wasn't there. So like a piece of the battery was just missing. I think he managed to get that swapped out on Friday. I forgot to grab one of the wires to convert from like the battery's connection point to what the Rev Hub actually accepts. So I've just been up a creek, and I'll have to get that tomorrow. And then last Friday, I got to walk through Joseph's computer and try to figure out why he wasn't able to download code to the phones. And then all of a sudden, yesterday mid-afternoon, he said, "Oh, it started working." So I have no idea what was wrong, but he's now able to download stuff.
How easily are you able to like contact people in PM?
I mean, via text, really.
I don't know. I feel like we're just so distant.
I know. It.
That's gonna be.
I wish that we all could have been the same either morning or afternoon slot. But
yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's make this the closer. Like our feelings about the current school situation.
yeah.
Yeah, people in PM. It's really hard to communicate with them, because there's only so much we could do together. And there's just a lot we really should be doing together that we just can't get around to doing. So I guess how I would say it.
Yeah, it's always difficult to have communication between sub teams on a robotics team because you get so entrenched in what you're working on. But having half the team in a different hour, so you're not even like seeing them on a daily basis, just adds to the trouble. I have very little idea of what Maddie's doing, for example, because I'm not tied into outreach at all. I can't even like overhear her talking about it in between classes because we're not
Yeah, I know.
in the same. Everything's completely separate.
It's based on last name, alphabetically speaking. So I just barely made the cut in AM, but it's gonna be like a nightmare schedule wise for people who switch, in the school has to figure out how does it really affect all of his or her classes.
Yeah.
So, I guess we just should be gracious that it works out the way it does.
Crazy year. Just an absolutely crazy year.
Do you think we'll ever be back in like normal classes this year?
I think that maybe not at the start of next semester, but I think probably by next quarter we'll all be back in. We'll be
back
all
from
in the
like
same
winter
class.
break.
Yeah. Well, maybe not
winter. How are they
winter.
going to do breaks this year?
I know everything is weird. Because I know that they took out a lot of those, like the Mondays and Fridays we'd have off every now and again. They basically removed all of those from the schedule.
So what do you think? Do you think graduating this year, are you kind of envious of, like, maybe you're thinking right now, class of 2020 didn't have it so bad. I mean, graduation was kind of botched, but are you thinking like, hey, maybe this year it could just be way worse? Like, what are you thinking?
Well, the whole comparing this year to what class of 2020 had to do has been pretty fresh in my mind because I was on the edge of which class I was going to end up in. I could have been 1 year ahead. So I definitely think we're going to have a weirder overall senior year because they at least had 3/4 of their school year normal before everything fell apart. And we're looking at having the opposite in the best case scenario. I don't know what graduation is or is not going to look like for us.
All right. Well, I won't keep you any longer. Thanks for coming out again.
Okay. Hopefully we can get some non-me on next time.
Yeah. And for the record, Blake, you will be on one of these days.
We will make sure to get him on.
Yeah.
He didn't really give an explanation. He just said he couldn't make it. But if we at least had Hernandez, we could then like try to get Hernandez to pressure Blake into joining on, but we'll see.
We will see.
Okay. Well, I guess I will see you tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully we can get more people on and we could do those game shows we're looking to set. Yeah, so we're going to do some game shows on the show on this podcast eventually. So stick around and maybe you'll witness one of these episodes. An episode where we have more than one guy. But yeah, maybe that's too much of a sour note to end on. So I'll just let you give your goodbyes because I'm sure the audience at this point already likes you.
So hopefully this week we can get some more robot stuff tested, and we'll have more to discuss in future podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully next time we do one of these, we can get some build and design people's on to give you their perspectives.
Yep.
I guess that's kind of an ending.
Guess so.
Have a good remaining few hours of the weekend.
All right. Cool. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.